The restaurants we grew up with, the places where families gathered, birthdays were celebrated, and communities came together, are collapsing. Not mom and pop diners, but giants etched into America's memory. Subway, Red Lobster, Applebee's. The neon signs are going dark, the dining rooms are empty, and behind every closure is a deeper truth. This isn't just about bad menus or weak management. It's about an economy breaking apart, a culture slipping away, and a way of life millions can no longer afford. Number 1. Subway. Subway was once everywhere. The glowing yellow and green sign hung over nearly every strip mall, gas station corner, and city block in America. At its peak in 2015, the chain had more than 27,000 locations across the United States, more than McDonald's, more than Starbucks. For working-class families and students, it was the healthier fast food choice, a cheaper alternative to a sit-down meal and a brand people assumed would last forever. But by the end of 2024, Subway had already shuttered over 4,000 stores, with the count now down to roughly 20,000 and falling every single month. Why? Because everything that once made Subway appealing has now turned against it. Its Eat Fresh slogan rings hollow in an era where consumers demand transparency, clean sourcing, and real freshness. Instead of farm-to-table ingredients, Subway still pushes processed meats, soggy bread, and canned vegetables. What was marketed as healthy now feels like a joke. On top of that, the brand has been battered by years of scandals, from the infamous not legally bread ruling in Ireland to the catastrophic disgrace of former spokesman Jared Fogle. Trust was broken, and Americans rarely give it back. Meanwhile, competitors like Jersey Mike's, Firehouse Subs, and Panera Bread modernized with authentic ingredients, fresher menus, and friendlier experiences. Subway, however, clung to outdated stores, uninspired service, and sandwiches that somehow keep getting smaller. Even its 2023 sale to investment firm Rourke Capital has failed to spark optimism. With no founders left, Subway is adrift, a giant machine running on fumes, sinking like the Titanic. The truth is, Subway may not survive 2025. And when it disappears, it won't just be the end of a sandwich shop. It will be another warning sign that America's middle-class dining culture is collapsing under economic pressure. Number 2. Hooters. There was a time when Hooters was more than a restaurant. It was a cultural phenomenon. Wings, beer, sports, and the infamous Hooters girls in orange shorts made it a household name in the 1990s. But nostalgia doesn't pay the bills in 2025. The truth is, Hooters is quietly fading into irrelevance, and its decline says a lot about how America itself is changing. At its peak in 2012, Hooters had around 430 U.S. locations. Today, fewer than 280 remain, and the closures keep coming. Chicago, Houston, San Diego, all shuttered. Why? Because the core of Hooters' brand, objectification, no longer sells. A 2023 survey revealed over 60% of diners aged 18 to 34 found its marketing uncomfortable, outdated, even offensive. Younger generations don't want a side of sexism with their wings, and without a new identity, Hooters has no future. Worse, the food itself is nothing to brag about. Average Yelp ratings hover under 3 stars in the largest states, a death sentence in today's hyper-competitive dining industry. And while rivals like Twin Peaks have rebranded into sports-centric bars with craft beer and modern menus, Hooters clings stubbornly to a formula that belongs in the past. The collapse of Hooters is bigger than a failing restaurant chain. It's the collapse of an idea America no longer embraces. With customers aging out and younger generations turning their backs, Hooters isn't just closing stores. It's vanishing from memory. In 2025, it's less a restaurant and more a relic, proof that brands that refuse to evolve will eventually be erased. Number 3. Red Lobster. For decades, Red Lobster was the affordable luxury of working-class America. Families celebrated anniversaries there, parents treated kids after graduations, and Friday nights buzzed with diners cracking crab legs under glowing neon. But in 2025, Red Lobster is no longer a celebration. It's a casualty. Owned by Thai Union Group, the chain lost over $33 million in a single quarter of 2024. Facing crushing losses, management is considering closing hundreds of stores just to stop the bleeding. Endless shrimp and $20 lobster platters, once irresistible deals, are now liabilities. Inflation has driven seafood costs sky high, wages and rent are soaring, and the math simply doesn't work anymore. The customer base is collapsing too. Surveys show 30% fewer repeat diners than before the pandemic. Many no longer have disposable income. Others don't find Red Lobster's dated menu worth the price. Meanwhile, modern diners prefer local seafood restaurants or trendy experiential dining spots that make a night out feel special. Red Lobster's once bustling dining rooms now sit eerily empty, lit up but lifeless. But this is more than the story of one chain. Red Lobster's decline reflects a larger economic collapse. For millions of families, even a modest night of seafood is now out of reach. What was once a symbol of working-class dignity, being able to treat yourself without breaking the bank, is being stripped away by inflation, inequality, and cultural change. If Red Lobster falls in 2025, it won't just be the end of cheddar biscuits and crab legs. It will be another sign that middle-class joys are vanishing, replaced by an economy where luxuries are only for the rich, and working families are left with nothing but memories. Number 4. Applebee's. Applebee's once called itself America's neighborhood grill. For years, it was the go-to spot for families, coworkers, and friends, looking for affordable meals and a casual Friday night out. But in 2025, those neon red signs are dimming. The neighborhood that Applebee's depended on is shrinking fast, and the chain is losing its identity in a broken economy. In 2023 alone, Applebee's closed 46 U.S. locations. Executives have already announced that another 25 to 35 will shutter in 2025. Why? Because Applebee's is trapped in a collapsing middle ground. On one side, high inflation forces families to cook at home. On the other, those who spend money want premium experiences at boutique restaurants, not microwaved food in dated booths. That leaves Applebee's stranded. Technomic data shows a 20% decline in return customers since the pandemic. Worse, the loyal base is aging. Millennials and Gen Z diners aren't interested in uninspired menus or tired decor. To them, Applebee's is irrelevant, a relic of the 1990s suburban boom. Fast casual spots like Chipotle or Shake Shack feel fresher, healthier, and more aligned with modern lifestyles. But the collapse of Applebee's isn't just about branding. It's about the death of the middle-class dining model. Applebee's used to be the affordable gathering place, proof that working people could still share a meal out without financial stress. Now its decline is another reminder that social spaces for ordinary Americans are being erased. As more Applebee's close across small towns and suburbs, communities lose more than a restaurant. They lose a place to gather, to connect, to belong. And in an economy built on isolation and survival, that loss cuts deeper than the menu ever could. Number 5. Salt Bae. For a brief, glittering moment, Salt Bae's restaurants were the hottest ticket in town. Viral videos of the Turkish chef sprinkling salt from his elbow captivated social media. Celebrities and billionaires lined up for the show, paying $500 for gold-covered steaks and $120 for burgers in Las Vegas, New York, and Miami. But in 2025, the show is over. The empire of Nusret is collapsing under the weight of reality. American branches are seeing revenues drop by 40%, staff layoffs, and shrinking menus. Yelp and Google reviews are brutal, describing outrageous prices paired with rock-bottom service. The glamour has evaporated, leaving behind overpriced meat and an atmosphere of desperation. This collapse is bigger than one chef's ego. It's a perfect symbol of an economy where elites flaunt luxury while the majority can't even afford groceries. When everyday Americans are skipping breakfast to save money, a $1,000 steak becomes not just absurd, it becomes offensive. The spectacle that once entertained now feels like mockery. Even in markets like Dubai or Istanbul, Salt Bae may limp along serving the ultra-rich. But in the US, the bubble has burst. The Salt Bae burnout is real, and it's spreading fast. Americans have no patience for hollow luxury at a time when economic collapse is already robbing them of affordable dining. What Nusret's failure shows is this. In a collapsing society, restaurants built on excess and vanity don't survive. They vanish overnight, leaving nothing but viral memories. And as the lights go out in his gilded steakhouses, Salt Bae's final sprinkle of salt may have already fallen. Number 6. Cheesecake Factory. Walk into any mall in America over the past 30 years, and chances are you'd find a Cheesecake Factory. Its giant menus, huge portions, and towering desserts made it a household name. But in 2025, those oversized slices of cheesecake may be the chain's last surviving memory. Because behind the glow of nostalgia, Cheesecake Factory is collapsing under its own weight. Here's why: the prices. What was once a casual splurge has turned into a luxury. A dinner for two now easily costs $50 to $60 before tip, a price many families simply can't justify when groceries alone are eating up paychecks. In fact, the National Restaurant Association reports a 20% decline in customer traffic since 2018, as inflation drives people toward faster and cheaper alternatives like Panera or Chipotle. Then there's the problem of the menu. Once a novelty, the 250-item list now overwhelms diners. Instead of feeling indulgent, it feels bloated and uninspired. Local restaurants offer tighter, fresher menus with healthier options at lower costs, leaving Cheesecake Factory looking dated. Even the once glamorous interiors feel generic in a world where smaller eateries are delivering Instagram-worthy experiences. The decline isn't just about food, it's about what Cheesecake Factory represented: the accessible luxury of America's middle class. But as incomes shrink and costs rise, that middle ground has vanished. The result? Cheesecake Factory is stuck in no man's land, too expensive for everyday meals, too ordinary for special ones. Unless the chain reinvents itself, the future is clear. Cheesecake Factory may go from mall staple to fading relic, another reminder that in today's economy, even casual indulgence is out of reach. Number 7. Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings, or B-dubs as it's known, once owned the American sports bar experience. Big screens, cold beer, and platters of wings made it the go-to for game nights. But in 2025, the cheers are quieter. The chain is losing relevance fast, and its decline mirrors a shift in American culture itself. The core issue? The food. Greasy, calorie-heavy wings don't fit the new health-conscious mindset. According to Statista, Buffalo Wild Wings revenue has dropped 15% since 2018. Younger diners want fresh, clean, balanced meals, not plates of fried food drowned in sauce. Competitors like Wingstop, with cheaper, more streamlined menus, are eating B-dubs lunch. Atmosphere is another problem. What once felt exciting, walls of TVs blasting sports, now feels chaotic and draining. Today's consumers prefer calmer, more intentional spaces. For many, shouting over the noise just isn't appealing anymore. That cultural shift has stripped Buffalo Wild Wings of the very thing that made it special. And then there's the price. With inflation crushing families, a dinner for two at B-dubs can run $30 to $40, while alternatives like Wingstop or Zaxby's come in much cheaper. That cost gap is steering customers away. Buffalo Wild Wings faces a brutal truth. It isn't just competing with other restaurants, it's competing with a new mindset. One where food must be affordable, healthier, and convenient. Unless it reinvents its menu and atmosphere, the chain risks becoming irrelevant. Just another relic of the 2000s sports bar boom. What was once the ultimate place for wings in the big game may soon be remembered only in nostalgia, as the economy and culture move on without it. Number 8. Taco Bell. For decades, Taco Bell was the king of cheap eats. Open late, fast, and fun. It was the fuel for late-night drives, broke students, and families on a budget. But in 2025, Taco Bell's crown is slipping, and the reasons cut deep into the core of America's collapsing food system. The problem isn't just taste, it's relevance. Consumers are shifting toward healthier, fresher food, and Taco Bell's greasy tacos and sodium-heavy burritos no longer fit. Gen Z and millennials want meals that balance cost with nutrition. Chains like Chipotle and Panera are thriving by delivering fast food that still feels clean. Taco Bell, on the other hand, feels stuck in the past. Cheap but unhealthy. Fast but uninspired. The numbers tell the story. In 2023, Taco Bell's revenue crept up just 3% year over year, a dismal figure compared to competitors like Chick-fil-A and Chipotle, whose growth soared. Its half-hearted attempts at vegan and gluten-free menus haven't resonated, leaving it exposed to the brutal reality of changing demand. And then there's the money. Taco Bell's survival has always relied on razor-thin prices, but with inflation-crushing supply chains, even maintaining $1 to $2 menu items has become nearly impossible. Either prices rise and lose their appeal, or quality suffers and customers leave. Taco Bell's decline isn't just about tacos, it's about what happens when a brand built for yesterday refuses to adapt for today. If it doesn't find a way to reinvent itself fast, Taco Bell could soon vanish from the very late-night streets it once owned. Number 9. IHOP. For generations, IHOP was the place where America ate breakfast. Fluffy pancakes stacked high, sizzling platters of bacon and eggs, and syrup-drenched nostalgia that kept families coming back. But in 2025, those stacks of pancakes are no longer enough. Here's the harsh truth. Breakfast has changed. A National Restaurant Association report shows pancake consumption has dropped by 44% in the last 5 years. Younger consumers are skipping sugary, carb-heavy meals and opting for smoothies, avocado toast, or protein bowls. Attempts to add healthier menu options have fallen flat, leaving it stuck between an aging loyal base and younger diners who just don't care. The business model is also a liability. Most locations are standalone sit-down restaurants, costly to operate in an era of rising wages, rent, and inflation. By contrast, newer chains like First Watch and Eggs Up Grill run leaner operations with fresher, wellness-driven menus. They're not just selling breakfast, they're selling lifestyle. And IHOP can't keep up. Revenue reflects the collapse. According to IBISWorld, IHOP's sales dropped 3.6% in 2023, even as many competitors posted growth. That decline isn't a blip, it's a symptom of a brand losing cultural relevance. What's happening is more than business, it's symbolic. The all-American breakfast, the idea that every family could sit down together at a familiar, affordable spot, is vanishing alongside the chain. And unless IHOP reinvents itself radically, it risks becoming another relic, remembered fondly but no longer part of everyday life. Number 10. TGI Fridays. For decades, TGI Fridays was the name that defined casual dining. Red and white stripes, buzzing Friday night energy, and oversized burgers and cocktails made it a staple of American life. But in 2025, those neon lights are dimming, and Fridays is fighting for survival in a food industry that no longer has space for what it offers. Founded in 1965, the chain once thrived on a simple formula: fun, indulgent meals at a price the middle class could afford. But the world has changed, and Fridays hasn't kept up. According to IBISWorld, the brand's revenue dropped over 4% in the last year, while competitors like Chili's and Applebee's managed to stabilize. That decline shows that even among struggling peers, TGI Fridays is falling faster. The problems are everywhere. The menu is heavy on burgers, ribs, and fried food, exactly the kind of calorie-dense staples younger generations are turning away from. Meanwhile, trendy rivals like Sweet Green, Shake Shack, and regional farm-to-table eateries are capturing the attention of diners who want food that feels healthier, fresher, and aligned with modern values. Costs are another crushing factor. Fridays runs a wide network of brick-and-mortar locations that are expensive to operate. Rising labor costs, inflation, and declining foot traffic make those sprawling restaurants unsustainable. And while the brand has attempted rebranding campaigns, menu refreshes, and promotions, nothing has reignited the spark. What Fridays is experiencing is more than just declining sales, it's the collapse of a cultural icon. Once the place for community, celebration, and casual luxury, Fridays is now a shadow of its former self. Unless it reinvents its entire identity, it risks fading completely, another name filed away in the obituary of America's casual dining era. Number 11. Chili's. Chili's used to be the beating heart of casual dining. Families gathered for sizzling fajitas, office workers grabbed happy hour margaritas, and friends split platters of loaded nachos. It wasn't glamorous, but it was reliable. In 2025, however, Chili's is fighting for its life, trapped in the same storm that's swallowing so many mid-tier restaurants, and showing no signs of escaping. The biggest problem is the vanishing middle class. Chili's thrives on diners who want a sit-down experience without paying fine dining prices. But inflation, rising rents, and stagnant wages have hollowed out that customer base. Families who once dropped $40 to $50 on a Chili's meal are now cooking at home, while those willing to spend more are choosing fresher, trendier restaurants. Chili's is caught in the middle, and that middle is collapsing. Menu fatigue is another issue. The chain's once famous sizzling fajitas and baby back ribs now feel like relics of the 1990s. Diners crave clean, modern flavors, while Chili's sticks to oversized portions of greasy, calorie-heavy fare. According to industry surveys, younger consumers, especially Gen Z, view the chain as outdated, a word that spells doom in today's hyper-competitive market. The financial strain is showing. Parent company Brinker International has reported sluggish growth for multiple quarters, with closures quietly stacking up across suburban malls and strip centers. The once familiar red chili pepper sign is going dark in towns where Chili's was a local fixture for decades. Chili's decline isn't just about food, it's symbolic. It represents the death of affordable, family-centered casual dining in an America where eating out is becoming a luxury. If current trends continue, Chili's may soon join the long list of once-beloved chains remembered only through old jingles and fading neon. Number 12. Outback Steakhouse. For years, Outback Steakhouse sold more than just food. It sold an experience. The dim lighting, the rustic decor, the massive bloomin' onion dropped in the middle of the table. It was marketed as a slice of Australia in suburban America. Families went there for birthdays, couples for date nights, workers for Friday escapes. But in 2025, the Outback glow is fading fast, and the brand is buckling under the weight of economic collapse. The biggest problem is pricing. Steak is no longer affordable for working Americans. With beef prices hitting record highs and inflation squeezing household budgets, a night at Outback can easily top $70 to $80 for two. That's no longer casual dining, it's a luxury. And when luxury collides with chain restaurant quality, the value disappears. Consumers are either trading down to cheaper takeout or trading up to independent steakhouses that feel authentic. Outback is stuck in the dead zone in between. Its menu, once iconic, now feels tired. The bloomin' onion still arrives drenched in oil, but younger. Diners aren't impressed by oversized, greasy appetizers. Health-conscious eaters are actively avoiding Outback's calorie bombs, and the chain's attempts at lighter menu options haven't been enough to shift its reputation. Financial cracks are showing. Parent company Bloomin' Brands has closed dozens of locations in recent years, citing declining traffic and soaring costs. Once busy dining rooms now sit half empty, with "for lease" signs appearing across suburban strip malls where Outback once thrived. Outback's fall isn't just about bad menu planning. It's a reflection of America's unraveling middle-class lifestyle. The steakhouse dinner that once symbolized reward and celebration is slipping away. Unless drastic reinvention happens soon, Outback risks becoming a memory, another neon sign extinguished in the great restaurant collapse of 2025. Number 13. Olive Garden. For decades, Olive Garden was the face of affordable Italian comfort in America. The endless breadsticks, bottomless salad bowls, and big plates of pasta made it the go-to spot for family dinners and celebrations. But in 2025, the chain that once promised, "when you're here, you're family," is looking more like a fading memory than a thriving restaurant. The first crack is inflation. Olive Garden's entire appeal rested on the idea of plenty for less. Families could feed 4 or 5 people for under $50, but those days are gone. Rising costs for wheat, dairy, and labor mean even simple pasta dishes have crept toward fine dining prices. A night out at Olive Garden now stretches household budgets already strained by rent, groceries, and gas. What once felt like comfort now feels like a burden. Then there's the shift in taste. Millennials and Gen Z are more interested in authentic, fresh food experiences, farm-to-table pizzas, local Italian cafes, or quick-serve spots like MOD Pizza and Cava. Olive Garden's heavy carb-loaded menu doesn't match modern health-conscious eating habits. Even attempts at menu innovation haven't stopped the brand from feeling outdated. Financially, parent company Darden has tried to keep Olive Garden afloat with promotions and loyalty programs, but traffic keeps slipping. Locations across the Midwest and South are closing quietly, leaving behind darkened dining rooms where families once gathered. Olive Garden's collapse is symbolic. It represents the shrinking middle-class dream, a place where working families could still afford to sit down, share a meal, and feel special. In today's collapsing economy, even that modest luxury is vanishing. And if the decline continues, Olive Garden may soon be remembered only in commercials, not in communities. Number 14. Red Robin. Red Robin once carried the promise of an indulgent night out. Bottomless steak fries, towering gourmet burgers, and a playful family-friendly atmosphere made it a staple in suburban America. For years, it was where birthdays were celebrated, and casual weekends turned into something a little special. But by 2025, Red Robin is no longer thriving. It's barely holding on. The core issue is value. What once felt like an affordable splurge now looks painfully overpriced. With inflation pushing food and labor costs sky high, a meal for two at Red Robin can top $40 to $50 before tip. Families who used to justify the trip as a treat are now turning to cheaper fast food alternatives, or cooking at home. The middle ground, Red Robin's sweet spot, has collapsed, leaving the chain stranded between low-cost competitors and fresher, trendier dining options. The brand also suffers from an identity crisis. Once marketed as gourmet burgers, Red Robin's offerings now feel generic in a market flooded with craft burger joints, local gastropubs, and sleek fast casual players like Five Guys and Smashburger. Younger diners see no reason to pay premium prices for food that feels ordinary. Financials reveal the damage. The company has closed dozens of underperforming locations, with revenues stagnating year after year. Efforts to modernize with delivery partnerships and revamped menus have failed to generate real excitement. And as malls and suburban shopping centers, Red Robin's traditional base continue their decline, foot traffic dries up further. Red Robin's collapse is more than a restaurant failure. It's a sign of the shrinking American middle class, families who can no longer afford the comfort of a sit-down burger joint. What was once marketed as fun, casual abundance now stands as another reminder of how fragile even simple joys have become in a collapsing economy. Number 15. Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese wasn't just a restaurant, it was a childhood landmark. For decades, parents brought kids to celebrate birthdays, win arcade prizes, and enjoy cheap pizza under flashing lights and animatronic shows. It represented innocence, family togetherness, and affordable fun. But in 2025, Chuck E. Cheese is on life support, another casualty of a collapsing economy and shifting culture. The first blow is financial strain. The company has been drowning in debt for years, filing bankruptcy in 2020 and struggling ever since. Rising rent, labor costs, and maintenance for aging arcade equipment have left the chain bleeding cash. Even as locations reopen, the traffic isn't what it used to be. Parents, strapped by inflation, no longer see a $200 kid's birthday package as feasible when groceries and bills already consume every paycheck. The second blow is cultural irrelevance. Today's children grow up with tablets, mobile gaming, and virtual reality. The arcade tokens and prize counters that once defined Chuck E. Cheese feel outdated. Competing family entertainment centers, sleeker, cleaner, and tech-driven, have stolen its thunder. Meanwhile, social media often portrays the brand as grimy or unsafe, further eroding trust. The result is empty ball pits, closed dining rooms, and shuttered locations across the country. What was once a rite of passage for millions of American kids is fading into obscurity. Chuck E. Cheese's decline is more than nostalgia lost. It's a reflection of a nation where even childhood traditions are collapsing under the weight of economic stress and cultural change. Another piece of the American dream, gone. The fall of these restaurant giants, Subway, Red Lobster, Olive Garden, Chuck E. Cheese, and more, shows us something bigger than business failures. It's proof that the very fabric of American life is unraveling. Rising costs, shifting culture, and economic collapse are erasing the places that once brought families together. The neon signs are dimming, and with them, the sense of community they represented. This isn't just about where we eat, it's about how we live, how we connect, and what we can still afford. The question isn't which restaurant falls next, it's how long before the system itself collapses.